This is the PANACEA runner. It is where you load in the hardware configurations constructed in the builder to collect, monitor, and log data in real time. First, we'll do a quick overview of the application, then we'll run a simulation to show it in action. Starting in the top left-hand corner, we can see the Start Test button. Clicking on this generates a pop-up window that lets you give your test a name, hardware configuration, and a truth source. Once you click on the OK button, the test will begin. The application will connect to hardware defined in your hardware configuration, the status will change from idle to running, and the test duration counter will begin tracking the elapsed time since the start of the test. Ensure you have all of your hardware components connected and assign the correct COM ports or IP addresses before starting a test. Below the Start Test button is the Field Test Info pane. This lists basic information about the current test, such as the name, start time, hardware configuration, and truth source information. For this test, the truth source is a receiver, and the name is TruthRx. Continuing down the left side, we see the Logging pane, which contains the Log Field Event button. Clicking on this generates a pop-up window that lets you enter text to describe an event that is taking place. All field events are logged in the scenario timeline log file and also overlaid on panorama plots, making it easy to visualize effects it may produce on receiver data metrics. The next pane on the left is Control All Receivers. This pane allows you to send commands to all connected receivers simultaneously. The commands include connecting, disconnecting, cold, warm, and hot starting, zeroizing, keying, resetting, and setting time and position. Being able to control all of your units under test with the click of a button is extremely advantageous when equipment is malfunctioning mid-test or when the test is rapidly changing with tight time windows. One thing to keep in mind is that not all receivers support the full list of receiver commands. Receivers that don't support a command will not receive the command when you click on it in the runner. This will also be reflected in the status column for that receiver. A quick example: if I try to set the lat long and altitude 000 to my U-Blocks receivers, we can see in the status column, set position failed. However, if I wanted to cold start all of these receivers, we can see cold start complete in the status column. The last pane on the left is the RF pane, which includes the Show Spectrum button. If you have a signal hound set up in your hardware configuration, clicking this button will bring up the spectrum that your signal hound is looking at. This feature is perfect for observing received power in dBm and identifying the waveform or waveforms that are present. We will see this feature in action when we run our simulation. Moving to the middle of the window, we can see a map of the globe with our receiver's position overlaid. To the right of this is a legend that lists the receivers you have connected and the color they are associated with on the map. Below this are map-related functions which include zooming in, zooming out, auto-zooming, and clearing, which erases the trail of where your receiver has been throughout the test. You can zoom in and out by hovering over the map and using the mouse wheel. You can also click and drag on the map to pan around. Under the map, we see a list of all of the receivers in our hardware config and important information and data metrics relating to them. These include the COM port, receiver model, receiver name, the status of your receiver, your average carrier to noise ratio, number of SVs tracked, number of SVs used, GPS time, your lat, long, and altitude, position error, and time error. You can double-click on a receiver to bring up its RxStudio pane. From here, you can send receiver commands to this receiver only and look at a more comprehensive set of data. For a full breakdown on this window, check out our tutorial video on RxStudio. The final area to cover is the Event Log pane. This gives a list of auxiliary information such as when a power measurement is taken from the signal hound or when a pulse measurement is taken from the frequency counter. Any errors or exceptions will also be listed in this log. All events that are posted to this log are stored in text files within the logs folder for each test. That brings our tutorial video on Panacea field test to an end. Thank you for watching, and be sure to check out part 3 to see an example of Panacea field test in action. Also, visit us at www.talon-x.com to learn more about our products, offerings, and how to contact us.